Welcome. I'm back. Um, if you've never seen astrology or if you started to begin to see astrology and it gets too confusing, why should you know astrology? Astrology is fascinating. I mean, it can take a lifetime to learn, like more than a lifetime actually, to learn a lot of things in astrology, and it gets complicated, but there are patterns in there and there are things, and because life is cyclical, we can see things that will be coming. I am a medium, so I see in a different way as well, but I love because I like science. I like to put science and um, spirituality together. That's kind of been my life's work. Anyway, so astrology helps you see the patterns of what's coming, or the patterns of what happened, or the patterns of what could possibly be, right? It's just like what happened with Trump. Um, a lot of us had already seen it. I was trying to get on here before, but that's a whole nother story. It's a whole other story about why sometimes I'm not allowed. And by not allowed, it's my higher self, right? It's keeping me from getting on, and things will happen where I can't get on yet, right? So, and I just kind of take that as, okay, I'm just not supposed to say anything yet. But now's the time. Um, so if you saw other astrologers on YouTube, on TikTok, on whatever social media, you could see by the what we call the conjunction of Uranus and Mars, right? That something was going to happen, and something still may happen with I can I say this without it sounding like a threat? I'm sitting here thinking about that because we have to like be very careful. Two heads of state. Okay, so we still have this. We're in this Uranus and Mars. Anyway, that's a pattern that we see, and then we have the Algol star that's right on it, right? And so when we looked at, I saw other. I'm sure other astrologers saw where this was placed in each of, well, both presidents' charts, right? And so this was not to astrologers. This was not a shock. Okay. We've kind of known that things were going to happen. There's other things that are going to happen. And do we know exactly what's going to happen? No, I don't know unless I get a message, but I can see patterns in astrology. And then as a medium, the planets are characters for me and they sort of talk to me. And I mean, not in the language we have, but and then also energies, energy spirits, whatever you want to call them. And so I kind of I think that's where my work is right now. Um, because I'm seeing all these patterns and I'm getting all these messages. And so if you've never seen me before, my name is Cindi. I am a medium, but I have lots of tools in my basket. I've been certified and done all kinds of schooling, but astrology just fascinates me because I like to put the science, because I can tell you, but if you can see it, it's it helps you with your perception, right? It helps you with your perspective. So, um, we've got some things going on. This is why we do it. I mean, you guys have heard, the saying that billionaires have astrologers on hand. They do, because we can see things. We know things. We've studied. Anyway, so we've got about 4 months ago, we talked about this. I went on a live and I told you guys we were going to be in the season of retrograde. Retrograding means that it's time for us to reassess. These are things that are coming from within us, and it's time to reevaluate, reassess. I call them all the re's: reassess, reevaluate, readjust, um, and things like that. That's what the retrogrades are about. So right now we have Pluto retrograde. Pluto's a big, big, big. Well, I'll just say Pluto's a prominent figure in my life. Has been since birth. And Pluto has retrograded. It's still in Aquarius, so we're reassessing, we're reevaluating, we're readjusting to the things that we learned when or the things that we were shown when Pluto went into Aquarius, right? And so Pluto moves very slow. It's a generational planet. It moves very, very slow. But we have also Saturn, who's retrograded, and Neptune, who is retrograded. And we are going to have Mercury retrograding. And we've had the North Node and South Node. The North Node, the South Node, and Pluto have to do with your past lives and where you're moving to. I mean, it all has to do with that, but those are really prominent. And that's where you can see all of that for your chart. So with Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces, things are so Neptune in Pisces retrograde right now. The veil was lifted. Y'all are starting to see things for what it is. There's, as they say, there's no rose-colored glasses. They're gone. Neptune is like, he's at 29 degrees. He's tired. He's had Saturn in there with Pisces because Pisces is Neptune's home. So Neptune feels really good in Pisces, but Saturn had come in there, and Saturn will be in there because Saturn is wanting us to think about and look in a practical way in this area of our life, right? So Pisces is very open. Pisces is, and Neptune is too. They're Neptune, Pisces, they're illusion. I think I always say Neptune is, think of Hollywood, right? And we've kind of seen when as Saturn's been in there, our eyes have been opened, right? And things are really practical. And Saturn has come in there and said, I'm going to show you, and he's working with Neptune, so that you can see, what do you believe? Not what you were taught to believe, because that's what we were doing, but what do you believe? Seeing the reality of things, what have you come to believe in? And then we're going to be asked to stand on that. Okay, so that's just part of the chart. We have this on the 21st, this full moon. I wanted to talk a little bit about the retrogrades, and I'm going to do a whole video about the retrogrades, but we're having to reassess these things, right? And then we have this full moon coming up on the 21st for, on the 21st in Capricorn, right? So it's a Capricorn full moon, but not just that. If you look, Capricorn, the moon is at 29 degrees 8 minutes, and the sun, so that's the full moon. That's all about letting go, right? So we've been reevaluating, we've been reassessing. In Pluto, we've been like, okay, we can see that we can move forward, but what are we going to do, right? And we're about to go back into Capricorn, which, by the way, structures will come down. I told you guys 4 months ago, I told you 6 months ago, structures, if they haven't fallen, they have to fall. They have to go down. If they don't readjust, if they don't change, if they don't become more Aquarian, if they don't become more about humanity, if they're not in the workings of changing, then they have to come down. And that's kind of what you're seeing, all the structures. And now that Pluto is looking back at Capricorn, he's saying, I'm coming. And because he's in Aquarius right now. He's done a little bit of work in Aquarius. He showed us where we can move to, how we can gather, I told you guys, I have a Pluto series that I started. I'll finish that, but the very first one is about Pluto itself and what Pluto in Aquarius is going to be for the next 20 years, right? And so that's kind of where we're at in society, is we're looking at how things have not been working and how we can do it the humanitarian way, how we can gather together, how we can be about we the people, right? And not just the structure, right? How it, and as Pluto moves back into Capricorn, that's going to be more prominent. And You're seeing people pass away. That happens too because structures must come down. Um, and the old has to go away, right? So that's what Pluto's doing. But over here at the Saturn and Neptune, I will be doing a video on these two because this is what we're seeing a lot of. This our eyes, who we're seeing had it was they were like there was a veil. It was almost like we didn't want to see what we were thinking we were seeing, but Saturn came in there and said, no, you need to look at this and you need to be responsible and you need to stand up and you need to figure out if you're going to make a structure out of this, figure out if you're going to want to work on this, but it's time to look at it. And that's kind of what Saturn right now is doing. He's saying, okay, I let y'all see while Neptune was not retrograde, I let y'all see some reality with, how do I say this? I let y'all see some reality with the beauty that Neptune has, with the illusion that Neptune has. But now, I let you see some, and then I'm showing you the reality of what's really going on, right? And now that Neptune is retrograde, the veil has come down, and y'all are really seeing what's going on, right? The fact that, they want us in fear, and we don't need to fear. We're resourceful, we're resilient, especially my generation, resourceful and resilient. And I'm not saying the other generations aren't. I'm just saying we will not back down. We won't. We just won't. So, it's a whole other video too. So, with this full moon in Capricorn, the sun is in Cancer. This is at 29 degrees. This is the ending. It's all culminating. But it's not a fast ending like y'all are used to, right? This can happen today and this can happen tomorrow. Things are going to be happening, but the overall context of the way that we're changing as a society, the way that we're changing as humans, the way that we're changing on our own, within ourselves is Capricorn, right? It's like these things are going to take a little longer, which it did when Pluto was in Capricorn, right? But with the moon being here, it's telling me, again, these are patterns. This is telling me that this is the ending of something that comes from within. Okay, because Cancer is very introverted. Cancer is doing it with their heart open, right? And so maybe when you saw some of these things come to pass, or that you were seeing the reality of things, maybe you didn't want to see it, or maybe your heart got hardened, or because it has to do with your heart here. Maybe your soul was hurt, right? Because that's Cancer. But that it's shining the light here so that you can see with a heart open that, okay, those things happened and I have every right to be mad, but what am I going to do about it, right? And that's kind of where, and the full moon falls in different houses for everybody, right? Right now I'm using whole houses, whole signs, but I usually use Placidus, but because it's YouTube and I'm doing a general thing, I wanted to use whole signs. So with it being at 29 degrees, there's something with your heart open that's being shown to you. That means you have a full heart. That means you have integrity. That means you're going to have genuinely know what to do with this, genuinely want to let things go, because full moons are about letting things go, right? But because it is conjunct just means it's being influenced. These two are talking to each other, right? So Pluto and the moon, they're talking to each other. This full moon, they're talking to each other. And there's something that's coming to an end that's going to help you progress forward into a more humanitarian. It's not just humanitarian, it's more of into How am I going to move forward, not just with myself, but as a society? What am I going to decide to do with this? How am I going to decide to participate? Because humanitarian and Aquarius, they will participate, right? So how am I going to do that? But I have to end something here. I have to, and there's all these aspects going on too, because Pluto is like aspecting Mercury, which is going to go into retrograde again. So you'll see it in a couple of weeks, August 4th, I think. I'll try to stay focused. We're talking about the full moon, but it's because it all, sorry, it's because it all, I moved the mic. It's because it all, when we're looking at one part of the chart, you're only seeing part of the story. There's a full story going on here, right? That's why I wanted to bring all that up. But I'm trying to stay focused on the full moon. So with this, what am I going to believe? What do I believe? What have I seen? What do I not want to see anymore? What am I not going to stand for anymore? Right? That's this area, right? I've seen, but I've also seen the good that we can do. I've also seen how we can come together and do good for society, for ourselves, live a better life. But we can't do it alone. We do it together. That's Aquarian, that's Pluto, but we're letting something go. And this as a society, because Pluto brings up your fears. Pluto, as a society, is saying we can no longer, I'm going to take this away so that you understand that we can no longer do it like this. That's Pluto. I need you to watch my Pluto series to be able to understand Pluto better. But basically, the moon, because it's always all here to help you. Okay. This is here to help you. It's not here to hurt you. It's not here to stunt you in any way. It's here to help you. Right. And so the full moon is here to help you release something that you need to release, to complete, because it's a 29 degrees, but it has to do with the way that you had been on a personal level and even on a societal level. The way that maybe you thought, the way that maybe you perceived it, the way that maybe you were brought up that way, whatever this is, we're having to let something go. And it's not like you don't know, it's like you've seen the reality, because that's Neptune and it's all aspecting. That's Neptune in retrograde. Whatever this is, it's got to come from within. You may see some evidence outside of you, but it's mostly from within. What am I going to do? How am I going to participate? Am I even going to participate? And I'm going to pick on the Aquarians for a second here, because my ascending is Aquarian and I always pick on them. But as Aquarians, we had stepped back because we were so we were so disheartened and we couldn't see the way. And what really we had to do was clear ourselves and figure out how we can see it better, because I'm not saying we do have the responsibility, but Aquarians feel like they have the responsibility, they carry to help progress, to help, that we have the responsibility, which is Capricorn, and we were feeling that, to help progress, but we can't see the way, so we get frustrated and we need to step back, right? So now's the time, with all of this being unveiled, with what we just saw with the president, with Trump, and I'm not political in any way. I'm not. And I know a lot of people say that, but I really am not. And you can look at my generation, we're not. We don't believe either side. I'm just saying we saw patterns. But we've also seen, and I've also seen, where humanity is starting to come together, right? Where more people are talking about being authentic, which is what I've been saying for the last 2 years, maybe 3 years, which is what Spirit has been telling me. My higher self had been telling me. The universe had been telling me. The message was, be authentic. Get into your authenticity. And I'll do a video about how that is even more of a finer vibration, or what y'all call a higher vibration, than love. So anyway, that's another side note. So with this, there's an ending. Something's going to come to light within you, because this is Cancer. So it also has to do with Cancer is your lineage. Cancer is where you came from. Cancer is the home. Cancer is the private part of you. Cancer is and so that's going to be coming to light. If it hasn't already, it's going to be coming to light, right? But it's about ending something either within you, around you, with your family. And I'm not saying in a bad way. I'm saying maybe the perception is, I'll give you an example. Maybe the perception is, I don't understand my family. I do nothing like them. Like, I don't get why my whatever, my aunt or my mother or my father are this way, right? Like, I never have, I never do. I never will. And then all of a sudden, things have been starting to come to light where you see, oh, maybe they're so mean because they were never loved or they weren't treated that way or they don't understand that there are bigger things in this world. They never got the chance, right? Like it's something like that. It could be where it's like, I love them anyway and they're doing the best that they can with what they know and with the life that they have led. Now, do I have to accept it? No, but I love them and I will accept them. And I will no longer be angry or upset when they show this characteristic, right? That's just an example. But whatever this is, it could be that, or it could be, I don't see the world the way that I used to, and I'm looking at it in a very different way. I'm being very practical, and I want to be responsible, and I no longer am going to be in the middle. I'm going to not take a side, but I'm going to step in and do what I can, do my part, right? So, because this is Capricorn. Capricorn is very responsible. Capricorn is also your reputation. Capricorn is also structure. So, how are you going to structure this? How are you going to do this? What are you going to do about it? You're no longer going to sit on the sidelines. I mean, it could be something like that. It's coming from within, right? And it has to do with society on a whole and in a personal way because of Pluto. Okay. So, um, yeah, that's what I'm seeing for now. Remember, we had gone through these eclipses and we've got the next eclipses coming in October. We just have to reevaluate everything. This is the time for us to readjust. This is the time for us to, what we thought we are going to do, we're going to do it a little bit different, right? What I thought I knew, I'm kind of seeing something different. Things have been taken from me, things have been gone and lost, things, and I may not understand, but I know that this is the right way to go. That's all Pluto. Um, it's like for me, I personally, and this is just to give you an example, I knew I was headed this way, because I just moved 4 months ago, right? And I knew I was headed towards where my daughter was, which I am in Oregon now. And Oregon is, I love Oregon, but it's very different. I'm used to big cities. I'm used to traveling all over the world. So, it's just a very, but it's not like it's alien to me because I grew up in a small community, small town. I mean, it was next to Houston, but I grew up in a small town. Anyway, um, I knew I was headed this way, and then things happened because the last 4 months we had all this stuff happening, or the last 6 months. I knew something was going to happen because of these North Node, South Node thing, right? And so when it came up and I had to come, and then I got here and this was Saturn. Like, what do you believe? What do you want? What are you going to keep everything in your head or are you going to actually take some action about it, right? That's this whole Pisces, Saturn, Neptune thing. Do you want to stay in your head, Neptune and Pisces, or are you going to do something about it, right? And I will make the way, but you're going to have to work at it, right? And so, like, I made like, I said, yes, I'm coming, and I jumped, and I did it, and I had two very close friends, y'all, you guys know Lauren and David, They helped me. Lorna drove with me in the middle of the night, all night, because I have to drive at night. I can't drive in the day. Um, and then I got here. There was no place to live. Like not be, I mean, just because it's a smaller town, there's no place. I mean, everybody's trying to find places, right? And so it's taken me about 4 months. I finally got here. All of that was work. Like I had to fill out paperwork. I had to make sure. I had to keep calling. I had to do. Like I had to. And then as I did, Saturn made the way. He made it. And here's the thing. I had dreamed of what we wanted, because it's now I'm living, well, we're living together. My daughter and my grandson and her fiance were living together, but I had dreamed and she had dreamed, envisioned, like if we could have this type of place, if we could have this. And I'm telling you, we got everything and more. Everything and more. Now it is lacking AC. We had to go get some AC. So if at times you hear me, when you hear an AC in the background, sorry, but that's just kind of how it is. I cannot be in the heat. That's kind of why I'm doing this at night too. Um, but the point is that I said, this is what I want. I got out of my, like, if there's something wrong with, as you're manifesting, you're dreaming, you're creating, but that's what Saturn's asking us to do is like, are you going to keep this in your head? Because you've been dreaming about this stuff for a while. Like, you've been telling me you wanted, this is Saturn. You've been telling me you wanted this stuff, right? You've been telling me, you've been dreaming, you've been trying to manifest, yet you, you just keep saying it. You don't do it. So, and that's true. I was like saying, I'm gonna get up there. I'm gonna get up there. Because I was in California, and I'm gonna get up there. I'm gonna get up there, and then I'd move one place closer. Then I kept going one place closer. But Saturn was like, you got to go. Like if you're gonna do this, that's Saturn. Like he made he made it where I had to go, and I did. And then when I got here, it was scary. That's Pluto, right? It was scary, because there was no place, and they lived in a very small apartment, and I'm like, we're all trying to figure out how to make this better, and it took us 4 months, and but when we got it, the we got a huge place. Uh, we got a backyard, we got a yard, we got a garage, and that's like that's hard to get. It's hard to get. So anyway, Saturn will reward you with your hard work, right? And now, and trust me, for the last 3 months, I'm like, I gotta get on, I've got to get on, I've got to get on, I got to do my work, I got to do my work. And Saturn was like, that's not your work right now. Your work right now is to get stable, Saturn, and comfortable where your dream is, right? Where you dreamed, what you're telling me, what you've been telling me you wanted. And that's going to put some fear in you because you think you need the money and you think you need the way, but I'm trying to show you that this is the way that you're going to get your dream. Does that make sense to you guys? And I'm being personal because I'm hoping that you can kind of see it in your life. Like it's scary and you've got to do it, but that's what I mean by when we all say, when astrologers say Saturn wants you to do the work, he wants you to do the work, right? Not the old work was, oh, well, I got to do my work, which I love, right? On YouTube, I got to do my work so that I can make the money so that I can get there. And Saturn's like, you've been doing that for a while. That's not working. We're going to do it a different way, right? And so that may be happening to you, but whatever this is, and this all, I see it. This is my inner workings. I'm seeing that I don't think that my perception was, I think that I pretty much take action on everything, right? Um, I'm not afraid like that. But really, my deep, dark Cancer part was like, there's some things that you have to do to make you very, very stable, like you want. The Capricorn, stable, responsible, doing all that. And that's going to take some jumps. That's going to take some faith in yourself. This, I just get, I like, I'm just, that was what I wanted to say. It's faith in yourself. I had to have faith in myself. Like, there were so many times where David or Lord wanted to bail me out. I'm like, you can't. You cannot bail me out. Nobody can bail me out, because I knew if I don't bail me out, it's just going to come in a different way. So I've got to do this. I've got to do this. You can help, but you can't bail me out. I got to do this. I got to figure out the way myself from within. It doesn't mean that I don't need help, because that's different. Don't be so isolated and so independent, because I've done that too, where you don't want anybody's help and you're like, I'm stuck. I don't know where to go. It's not that. It's that as long as you know that you're navigating this, not somebody doing it for you. That's the difference. And that required, because Saturn in Pisces with Neptune here is asking us to have faith in ourselves. I had to have faith in myself, and it's working out so far. It's working out. It's working out way better than I thought, right? Yes, it's taken a little longer, but that's Capricorn, that's Saturn. Whatever, and I said this probably 6 or 8 months ago, whatever we're going to be building is going to last a long time, right? Now, it doesn't mean you're going to stay at the same place a long time. It just means whatever stability, whatever you're building is going to last a long time. That's on a personal level, and that's on the society level. And that's going to take work. That's going to take, what are we going to do? That's going to take, I have faith in myself. I have faith in society. I have faith. You have to have faith in yourself. That's what Saturn is asking with this Neptune. But with Capricorn, it's about the stability, because Capricorn, Saturn rules Capricorn, right? And with this full moon, it's about letting go of either a structure or letting go of something that's within to understand a better way for yourself. So I hope that helps. I mean, I can go over, this is the thing, I can go over each of the houses, but it's different for everybody, right? Because, yeah, it's different for everybody, because I can tell you like the general stuff that's going to happen, but if you really want to understand what's going on with your chart and these transits, you have to come see me. That's a different thing. So, just know, I can tell you the houses. If Capricorn is in your first house, so you're a Capricorn rising, right? Then this has to do with you as a whole, right? And then your second house, it has to do with your value. What do you value? So if Capricorn was in your second house, it has to do with your value, right? And then your third house has to do, it's a Gemini house, so it has to do with, this could have to do with, I'm letting go of the way that I am doing my everyday schedule, or my everyday understanding of how I want my life, or my the way that I communicate to people, or the way that people perceive me communicating. Something is going to have to be let go of, ending, so that you can move into a new way, right? The fourth has to do with your roots, your DNA, where you came from, your family, right? So you may be letting go of, like I said, that story. You know, that was just an example of the way that you perceive, the way that you're understanding. I'm feeling like a lot of you that are, if you have this fourth house one, I feel like a lot of you will see the world is not against me, and neither is my family. I just have to adjust and learn to work with them. That's kind of what I'm seeing a relief in. With your fifth house, this has to do with the way you create. There may be a different way that you have to create. There may be a different way that your method, your structure that you're creating. You may have to let go of some of you, all these rituals before you get started. Bogged down with, or maybe that you don't have any structure and you need to begin to have structure, right? In your sixth house, this has to do with your health and your well-being. Maybe it's time to let go of a certain habit and then maybe introduce a new habit, right? In your seventh house, it has to do with relationships. So if Capricorn's in your seventh house, so if Capricorn's in your sixth, it has to do with your health and well-being. It also has to do with your everyday life. So the way that you're structuring your everyday life. Are you doing too much? Are you not doing enough? Right? Seventh house, if Capricorn was in your seventh, has to do with relationships. Um, am I being too aggressive? Am I not being too aggressive? Am I being authentic? Am I not being authentic? Um, do I think I'm being authentic and I'm really not being authentic? Um, am I being truthful in how I want something, or am I being authentic in saying that I want something? Um, yeah, and I'm saying with relationships, like people say they don't want somebody, but they really do want somebody, but that's the way society is right now. So they're just choosing not to want some or to say it so that it's kind of fake it till you make it kind of thing. Or it could be your relationship now. Am I doing too much? Am I not doing enough? Do we need to restructure this? Is it time to move it forward? Is it time to let it go? Because you're at the 29th degree. You're going to have to let go of an understanding. Or do you decide, this is relationships, or do you decide, okay, I know I'm not going to marry this person, but I cannot see my life without them. So I am willing to be a partner with this person without getting married. Like that's just something that I'm saying. Like there's something ending here, or it could be, you know what, this person is not going. My goal is not what their goal is, and I need to be. I already know this. This is my inner being. But it's time to do this. It's time to let this go, right? And the eighth house is, if Capricorn's in your eighth house, this has to do with um, other people and your relationship with them. So it's something that you have contracts with. So it could be you're having issues with the banking system. It could be you're having issues with loans. It could be you're having issues with inheritances. Something having to do, or it could be that you and your partner are actually moving into a space where he or she gets a better paying job, or you get the better paying job, and y'all have to restructure things, and your contract is coming to terms. So either you're letting go or you're bringing in, right? That's the eighth house. And then the ninth house is your belief systems. The ninth house is astrology. The ninth house is the occult. So there's something in your perception or your growth, your soul's growth about. So it's about expanding that knowledge, understanding. So there's something ending here. Maybe I'll just say it this way. Maybe, I mean, this is just something that's coming to mind. Maybe you were a Christian, you were brought up a Christian, and you don't believe that anymore, right? And you've been struggling with that, but you're coming to terms with that. And this is like your belief, your Cancer, right? Am I awful for not being a Christian anymore? Maybe you come to terms with that. There's something ending here that has to do with your belief system. And then the 10th house has to do with your reputation, how people perceive you, how you run in the world, how you work in the world, how you have structured, or the structures in the world. Something's ending there, but it has to do with you, how you believe it, what you believe, how authentic are you going to be, right? Your 11th house, if Capricorn is in your 11th house, then it has to do with um, your groups. I did a whole Pluto thing, and I think I said in the Pluto video where if there's a planet there, it kind of acts like it. It's not a generational thing, but it kind of acts like it. So with the moon being in there right now, it could be the ending of a group. It could be the ending of understanding that group. It could be the ending of the way that you interact with that group, right? Maybe you don't drop the group, but maybe you interact differently with the group, right? And then the 12th house is interesting because it's always like, you can think of the 12th house as you not being able to perceive it, right? It's just right here. You can feel it, you can sense it, but you can't see it. You know when you can feel somebody staring at you and you're like, and then they look away so you don't see them staring at you, but you could have sworn they were staring at you. That's the 12th house. It's like it's right there, but you can't see it. So You have to feel your way through the 12th house. Pluto is in my 12th house now. He will be in my 12th house for the next 10, 15, I think 10 years. So I'm really delving into the 12th house with Pluto. And it's what I heard from my higher self in the beginning, and because I was like, oh my God, I got to go through the 12th house with Pluto, is you have so many other senses, you don't need your sight. So think of it that way. It's something that you sense that you feel you should do with this ending, with this full moon. But it's like, if you try to look at it, you're not going to see it clearly. You're not going to see it. So you might as well just feel it or sense it or have someone pay attention so that somebody that's mirroring it to you, whatever this is, it's an ending, it's an understanding, but it comes from within. Okay. So I hope that helps. I'll be doing all the other full moons. I've got a lot of catching up to do. Bear with me. But I'm going to be trying to get a whole bunch of videos out. So we'll see. I'm back. I'm back. I'm in a place where I'm stable. I got my own office. I'm telling you, I got my own office. That's crazy. Anyway, I love you, love you, love you. Thank you for hanging out with me. The camera angles and all that will get better. I'm still setting stuff up, but I have been dying to get back to work. And with everything going on, I'm like, I gotta tell them this. I gotta tell them that. You know, I'd get messages and I'm like, I gotta tell them that. But then that reminds me, just because you're getting the message does not mean you have to give the message. I hope other mediums and psychics, and if you hear this, you know how you're doing something and you're like, I'm being stopped, I'm being stopped. It's because just because you heard the message doesn't mean you need to give it, right? You are hearing it because that's your talent. It's what you do. It's the way that you vibrate. So you're going to hear messages, right? Doesn't mean you have to give them. If it flows and it's easy, then you should give it. If it's too harsh, it's probably not for you to be giving, because you're not the only one. I'm not the only one. You're not the only one receiving that particular vibration. Does that make sense? We're antennas, so we receive it. There's a whole bunch of us receiving it, and then whoever is to give the message gives the message. It should flow, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's just a little side note. All right, talk to you later. Bye.